Come what may, bring it on. I'm gonna love it.
Welcome to LDS Unmarried Life. This is a podcast for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who happen to be single because they're either divorced, widowed, or not yet married, and there is no affiliation with the church. So today, my name is Annette Bybee, by the way, and you can find this podcast on my website, AnnetteTalks.com. Please go there, subscribe, comment, whatever you want. But today, I'm joined by Steve Smith. Say hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
My co-author on the book, Dating After Divorce, an LDS Survival Guide. That's our working title right now. And so if you haven't listened to the first three chapters of our book, there are 3 podcasts with 1 chapter each. Go back and get them on AnnetteTalks.com. And so today we're going to move on to chapter 4. And Steve has a little cold and I'm a little bit tired, so it's going to be an interesting episode. But so this chapter is on online dating. And it starts with tip number 4, which is if you're going to date online, make your profile shine. So if you've been on Planet or Mingle or Singles or Mutual doesn't really have much of
or Plenty of Fish or...
Anyway, they all want something from you. And so we're going to talk about what you should be doing with that profile because we've all seen the lame profiles. So I'm going to start reading and then we will discuss. Most people are dating online these days. If you're going to be serious about finding someone, you might as well join in, especially if you're just not finding anyone at activities or if you live in a small town or area that doesn't have any LDS singles. This is a way to maximize your dating pool. The sites that I'm familiar with are LDS Planet, LDS Mingle, and Mutual. The first 2 are traditional sites where you fill out a profile and post pictures. Mutual is more like Tinder, but for LDS folks. It's a swipe up or down on a picture app. And actually, I guess it's up or down.
Wait a minute, Annette. These are perhaps newly single people. They might not know what Tinder is. Tinder is a dating app that shows you a picture. And if you like the person in the picture, you swipe right. If you don't like the person in the picture, you swipe left. There are profiles with information about the person, but I don't think anyone really reads the profiles. It's all about the picture and those first seconds of attraction. If both of you swipe right with each other, you've got a match. Don't ask me what happens after that. You're on your own.
So, Mutual has a little information too, but it's very little. I mean, you really don't get much, so you don't really get an idea of who the person is. So I guess if you're in a hurry and you just want to look for someone that you think is attractive.
It's all about that.
So, Mutual's not my favorite, honestly. I think I haven't seen one date come to me from Mutual, whereas Planet, there's more information. You can talk about yourself a little bit. Anyway, let me get back to the book because we're going to get into that. The advantages to the more traditional sites like Planet are that you can post a fairly good-sized profile with lots of information about yourself and really show your personality. One of the drawbacks is that when singles of other faiths log into other single sites, they are encouraged to join Planet, not knowing what LDS means. This results in many non-members signing up, so you have to sift through these profiles along with profiles of actual LDS folks. Another frustration is that people post profiles with no pictures and little to no information. I'm guessing that they're just checking out who's on there before deciding to purchase a plan, but again, you have to sift through those profiles as well. Which leads to the tip. If you're going to do the online dating thing, take the time to make a great profile. Include lots of pictures in different environments doing different activities. Really express who you are in your profile. One of my pet peeves is when men talk about what they're not looking for. It comes across as bitter and negative. Instead, talk about what you have to offer and what you are looking for. Remember, this is essentially marketing yourself. Ask someone of the opposite sex to look at your profile and give you feedback, or maybe even someone with the same sex as your friend. The men I've talked to have said that ladies need to smile in their pictures and that they like seeing women in a variety of settings. The women I've talked to, and I, like pictures, but we also like the man to fill out the profile. Don't just include a few lines. Tell us who you are. Mutual is less conducive to long profiles and more geared towards going by pictures. The disadvantage is, of course, that you're not getting a lot of quality info on the person. The The advantage is that you can glance at quite a few people within a few minutes, and Mutual is free. And they've recently made an upgraded version for a price. I don't even know what that is because I don't have that. The other sites cost. There are many other sites that aren't geared towards members, but I have no experience with them. Dating non-members is covered in a later chapter. I've actually had more success on Facebook than on any dating app or site. There are several groups for local LDS singles and groups for national or international LDS singles on Facebook. Many wards also have groups, so you can see single ward members there as well. Once you're friends with someone on Facebook, you can get at least a partial picture of who they are, and if they're active on Facebook, you can get an idea of who they are by what they post. Then you can instant message someone if they seem interesting to you. Facebook is also a good place to keep track of singles activities, as there is usually a Facebook event created for these activities. I should also mention that there are Facebook groups specifically for LDS divorced survivors. I haven't spent much time on those, but every time I checked in, I see a lot of contention. They seem like a place where divorced people go in to bash the opposite sex and vent their frustrations. Maybe they are useful as a safe place to do that. I don't enjoy this, so I steer clear. I should say that just recently, there was a spin-off group from the LDS Divorce Survivors group that I was on, and it's called Mix and Mingle LDS Divorce Survivors, and it's for more lighthearted, let's get to know each other interactions as opposed to just going in and whining. The LDS Divorce Survivor groups that I've seen are really for people that just want to get in and whine about their divorces, and that's not.
And if you're on those, you're probably not ready to date.
Heavens. I would say yes. That might be for like newly divorced people that are really in a lot of pain and want somewhere to go, so it's probably a good place for them. But not a great place to go and find people to date because everyone seems to be in pain. And something else I wanted to say about the pictures on Planet. Recently I saw one where a guy had a hat, sunglasses, and then a mug in front of his face, like he was drinking coffee or hot chocolate or something. And I cannot decide whether he's trying to be funny or he's clueless, because you can't see his face at all. And that's his main picture. And then I see guys that are frowning. Like there's one guy who's like smiley. I think I mentioned this in another podcast. His name has something to do with smiley, and it wasn't you. Or happy guy or something like that. And his picture is him frowning. We don't want to see frowning. We want to see guys looking like they're having a good time. Or, unless if frowny is your usual look, then I guess great. Because we all know you're not a happy person. But most women don't want to see.
He could be happy on the inside.
A guy frowning all the time. I don't know why they think it's like serious is like attractive or sexy or something. But I don't know any women that think that frowny guys are attractive.
Okay, guys, I've heard plenty of complaints from women. Don't put dead fish pics. Don't put dead animal pics. As much as I am a car motorcycle guy, I hate to say it, but don't put your profile full of car and motorcycle pics.
I agree with that.
I've done all of those things, and I've always been told to not put those on there. They'd rather see you in different situations, but not holding dead fish or dead animals or your motorcycle or your car or things like that.
Well, I think it's okay maybe to have one. If it's big, like if a guy's really into motorcycles, sit next to your motorcycle or a picture of you on your bike so women know that's your thing.
It's really hard to take a selfie when you're on your bike.
You have a guy friend take one for you. I've seen many pictures of guys on their bikes, and it's not my thing. So right away I'm like, next. But I mean, it's good information to have. If you spend all your weekends on your motorcycle, then yeah, put a picture of you on your motorcycle so that women know that that's your thing. Or if you're into bicycling, a picture of you on your bike. Women can get an idea of what you do. If that's not your thing, but you're trying to look athletic, bad idea.
Ladies, what guys are looking for is a genuine picture of yourself. We don't need to see an airbrush picture with stars all over your head or some kind of fake bulgy eyes. We don't need to see a picture taken from way above you looking up. We also don't need to see a picture of you laying on a pillow with your hair draped all over. Another hint is don't fill your profile with pictures full of your kids. Our kids are very special to us, and we understand that, but we want to see you. One good picture with the kids is fine, but not a whole bunch of them. Lastly, don't put pics of you and your BFF in every picture. How are we supposed to know which woman you are in the picture? That's very annoying. Guys and girls.
Yeah, that goes both ways because I've seen the same thing where there's group pictures and I'm like, how am I supposed to know which one you are? I mean, maybe if you want to do that and circle yourself so people know, but have at least 3 or 4 of just you or you and your bike or whatever. But the other one that's a turnoff, well, a couple more that are a turnoff, and there was a Studio C episode about this, which was totally funny. But got shirtless guys, come on. Oh, I was on the beach. I had to take a shirtless picture. Really? I don't. It's a turnoff because to me it's you trying to show off your physique, and it's really not necessary. Another one that's a turnoff for me, but is probably fine for other ladies, is the picture with the dog right up next to his face or the cat right up next to his face. But I mean, it tells you that the guy really likes his animal. And so if a woman really likes animals, then I guess it works for her. For me, it's like, ew, he's so into his animals, and I'm not. So anyway, that's just a personal thing. So I guess the point is your pictures need to accurately reflect who you are.
Yeah, no 20-year-old pics either.
It's okay if you want one mission picture in there, just to say, oh, I went on a mission to wherever. But you really should have pictures from the last year at the very oldest. I mean, the more recent, the better. Every time I get a good recent picture, I add it because I want guys to know what I look like. Because how stupid is it to put a picture of you that looks nothing like you, but way better, like maybe 100 pounds ago, or maybe 10 years ago, or maybe when you still had hair or whatever, and then you go on a date and your date doesn't recognize you and you have to explain. I'd rather look better in person than worse, you know. I don't want to be a bad surprise.
I've talked to lots of guys that have had bad situations where ladies have shown up who are not anywhere near what they were in the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's another reason that I would say if you find someone on one of the dating sites, try to find them on Facebook. Because Facebook is generally going to have more recent pictures. Because we tend to just post away, at least some of us.
Some of those addicted to Facebook.
Yeah, not that we're going to name any names here, right? But I always want to go to Facebook and find the person if I can, and do a little Facebook stalking, because not only can you see recent pictures, but you can see what they're posting about. You can get an idea of what is important to them, unless they're just reposting memes, in which case that's kind of worthless. But you can get something usually out of Facebook. All right, so this is playing off of what you said about the fish. Yes, every time I see a picture of a guy holding up a fish he's just caught, I stop looking or swipe left. I don't want someone who spends all of his time hunting or fishing. Of course, some women really dig that, so if you want a woman who hunts and fishes, maybe keep some up there so you can attract her. I also agree with Steve about group pictures. 1 or 2 is fine, but if they're all groups, how does anyone know which person out of the group you are? Online dating does have some unique drawbacks, so we're going to go into tip number 5. Don't meet anyone with only one picture, especially if it's a professional one.
Oh, that's what I have.
Oh, no, I
have professional pictures on there.
It's okay to have a few professional pictures. My tip is if there's only one picture, and it's obviously a professional one, that's probably not the person. All right, so this is where this...
Don't listen to that.
Yes, I was catfished. If you don't know what that means, it's when someone creates a fake profile to lure someone into a relationship. I don't know why people do this. I don't
have a fake profile.
No, I've seen your profile, and I have a few professional pictures too, but they're of me, and they're one of many. I have lots of non-professional pictures. That's the key. Anyway, I don't know why anyone would do this unless they think they're never going to meet someone in person. I mean, as soon as you meet this person, you know why they aren't who they portrayed themselves to be. So this is what happened to me. I was on LDS Planet a while back, and I saw a profile with a nice picture. It doesn't matter what site you're on, they're all vulnerable to being catfished. I don't remember who started the conversation, but I ended up texting with the man and then moved to phone conversations. What was weird was that he never talked about anything except his business. Eventually, I had him send me an email because he was going to help me with my website. When his email came, his email address had a different name than the one on Planet. All right, red flag number 1. Now it would be red flag number 2 because I would realize one picture and it's professional. That would have been the first red flag. So I Googled him and I found the real him. He looked nothing like the picture on Planet, and I found some complaints about his business, claiming he had defrauded some people. We stopped communicating and I forgot all about him. Fast forward about 6 months, I saw another nice picture on Planet. In both cases, only one picture, and it was professional. I guess I didn't get the message the first time. Anyway. The man reached out to me via chat on Planet. He seemed pretty funny and interesting, so I gave him my number and he texted me. I was in a mood, so I suggested that we meet up for a hike that day, in a very public place, in broad daylight, by the way. He told me what vehicle he would be in and let me know that he wouldn't have the beard anymore because he had grown it as a dare for his work. Okay, I thought, I'll look for the guy in the picture, but with no beard. I got to the parking lot and saw his vehicle pull in. When I saw who was driving, I knew it was the same guy from before. I couldn't believe it. I can still remember that. I can still totally picture it. As soon as he got out of his car, I called him on it. He gave me some song and dance about not posting his real pictures so his kids wouldn't know he was dating. Like his kids are on Planet, and why wouldn't they think their divorced dad is dating?
Yeah.
It's silly.
Why would your kids be on an LDS Planet?
Yeah, really. As a side note, your kids should know that you are dating. They don't need details, but if you're sneaking around trying to keep that part of your life totally secret, they will sense that something is up and not trust you completely. You don't need that in your relationship with your kids. Anyway, I hiked with him for about 20 minutes because I was curious how far he would take his story. I told him I remembered him from the first time he catfished me. He spun quite a few stories. It was clear that he was obviously not a good member of the church, was being sued for business practices, and didn't look anything like either of his pictures. The first 2 bothered me more, but the last part is important as well. The whole point of having pictures on your profile is so that people have an idea of what you look like. What's funny is that after I called him on his lies, he still asked if I wanted to continue the date by heading to a restaurant. I basically told him that I had no interest in someone with no integrity. He later emailed me an apologetic email with more excuses. So don't trust anyone with only one picture, especially a professional one. Also, try to find the person on Facebook, like I mentioned before, or another website, like LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is good.
Yeah. If the person is local, ask your friends if they know him or her. The more you can vet them before meeting up, the better. I recently had a friend message me on Facebook and ask me about a guy she met on there that was messaging her. He told her that he and I were friends on Facebook and that I could vouch for him. Well, we were friends on Facebook, but we had never had a conversation online or in real life. I had actually stood in a circle with him after a fireside one night and he never acknowledged my presence. That was the extent of our contact. But he saw that I was friends with the gal he was messaging and thought he could use me as proof that he was trustworthy, I guess. I'm glad she checked with me so I could tell her the real story. So don't take a virtual stranger's word when they say you know the same people. Because we all know that on Facebook, friends, I'm putting quotation marks around it, doesn't mean friends. I would say probably half of the people that I'm friends with on Facebook, I'm not friends with in real life. I probably haven't even met a good chunk of them. So, and partly because I accept friend requests because I'm trying to promote my podcast. But that's my catfishing story.
Oh, my turn.
Yep.
In this day and age, being catfished probably is going to happen to you. Take it in stride, be aware that it could happen, but keep a smile on your face when it happens. It happened to me as well. I met a nice lady on LDS Planet. We messaged back and forth for quite a while, and it was very interesting. I learned about her past, her kids, her life. She was sharing everything. Ladies, you don't need to share everything to keep a man's attention. Just so you know. Well, the day finally came that I was making the trip to Utah to visit family, and we made a date to finally meet. When we met, I had to take a second to figure out in my mind what was going on. It was the same lady in the picture, but probably 10 to 15 years older.
Oh, gosh.
The picture that I had seen and the person in my mind were very different than the lady sitting across the table from me.
There's like a disconnect that happens in your brain, isn't there?
You just can't put it together.
No, they don't belong together.
My advice to all of you, be genuine and truthful. Pause. Be genuine and truthful. If you have lost your hair or gained a few pounds, don't try to go back to an old picture. Be who you are.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, you know, the ladies that I know are not looking for 10s.
Well, they are, but...
No, most of us know better. And most of us know that, you know, especially when you get to be a certain age, you don't look like you used to look 20 years ago. None of us are all that what we were in our 20s. So don't think that you're going to win any points or get anywhere by representing yourself really well and then showing up not looking great. You're better off looking like you look so that the woman gets used to that idea. And that's who she's attracted to. Whatever picture you've put on Planet or whatever, that's what that person's going to be attracted to. So if they meet you in person and you're not that person, yeah, there's a disconnect. It's all of a sudden that's not the same person you've been talking to. It's too weird.
It is weird.
It's hard to get past that. And already, because right at the start, you're like, I can't trust this person. They misrepresent themselves. So that's already a big point against you. All right, Steve, hate to break it to you, but that isn't catfishing, your story with this lady. She wasn't a fictional character. She just used an old picture. But your point is made. Use recent pictures, people. Don't try to make yourself look a lot better than you do in real life. You're only going to confuse and disappoint someone when you meet in person. In a way, it's better to look slightly worse in your pictures and pleasantly surprise them. But I don't know any ladies willing to do that, including me. We don't want to turn anyone off either. You know, I don't want to put a yucky picture and have nobody like me just so that he can like me better in person. Another red flag is if they don't seem interested in meeting in person. I had a guy who talked pretty but didn't want to meet up. I asked him if he was still married, and he admitted that he was. I told him off and reported him to Planet. I reported the catfisher as well, by the way. Recently, he messaged me to let me know he was now divorced. Again, why would I be interested in someone with that level of integrity? I recommend also just meeting in person quickly, because online communicating with someone is nothing like in person. I mean, it goes both ways. Someone can be really great online, and they're not so great in person, and vice versa. So I think if there's any interest at all on both sides, just meet up right away and not waste each other's time. Get together. Find out.
And it goes both ways. Just since writing the book, I was on Planet and met a lady who was not divorced yet.
Yeah. Very, very annoying. Yeah, people really...
Supposedly a very good member of the church, temple-worthy and all of this stuff, but to me, that's not really being honest with who you are and honest in your dealings with everybody else if you're putting yourself out there as being divorced and you're not.
Yeah, and those people are in a hurry and they're disregarding being honest. All right, so use common sense with online dating. If something seems off about their profile or if they act strange over text, email, or on the phone, do some further investigating. If you don't feel safe meeting the person, don't. You don't owe anyone anything. Just because you've been communicating, that doesn't mean you're obligated to that person in any way. You're simply evaluating options. I had a guy on text get kind of snipey with me a while back, and because I said that I was looking for a certain je ne sais quoi in a guy. I probably said this on another podcast because it's one of my favorite stories. But he says, oh, well, I don't have a law degree, so I don't know what that means. And I was like, really? You think I learned that in law school? But I could see he was very defensive and probably insecure. And so I just stopped chatting with him, moved on.
One thing with internet dating, it's fun to open up all the criteria to see what's out there across the whole planet. Mm-hmm. You'll get matches. You'll get to talk to people, I promise. You'll get the chance to flirt and meet some great people online.
Right. So what you're saying is if you put in there like you want to meet people anywhere.
Anywhere.
There's no distance limit.
Yeah, right. And there's no age limit. There's no other class limit. There's no members, non-members, temple-worthy, anything, any age, any distance. Just open everything up. It's all fun and games until someone buys a plane ticket. And I've done it. I've met great, fantastic, wonderful women in other states. I've even bought plane tickets. One time I jumped in the car and drove 9.5 hours. Lots of fun and had amazing times, but no one was ever willing to move. Sometimes it can happen, I guess, but not to me. Maybe a little advice before you get very involved and totally invested in the relationship. You should find out who would be willing to move if something serious came of the relationship.
So did you want to update that any since you've written this?
No. I've dated somebody in Utah and very special to me, but we're not at the point where we need to know who's going to move.
All right.
But everybody does it. Just be careful. Just know your limitations. Know if you're willing to move.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to go on into next in this next section. Good point, Steve. I only meet local people because I'm in a situation where I can't move because of my girls. And what's really annoying is it's like the first thing on my profile. It's like the first line. I'm only interested in Denver area guys or local Colorado guys at least. And that tells you that guys are either not reading my profile or disregarding it, because I get messages from Utah guys and New Mexico all the time and I just ignore it. Because if you're not going to read my profile, I have no interest in you. Anyway, I only meet local people because I'm in a situation where I can't move because of my girls. A lot of people are in that situation. Maybe guys I meet might be able to move, you say. Maybe they can, but how do I get to know them well enough from a distance for them to decide to move for me? I need to spend a lot of time in person with someone before I can decide that the relationship might lead to marriage. It's hard to do that when you have to catch a plane or drive a long distance to see each other. Some people have made it work. It's just not for me. I would caution against starting something you can't finish or putting yourself in a situation where you would be tempted to move your children away from their other parent. And see, that's the thing. I wouldn't, even if I could, I wouldn't take my girls away from their dad. That's just not going to happen. So I would rather just wait until the kids are grown rather than doing something ridiculous like moving them away from their dad.
Well, if you do decide to buy that plane ticket, people can be on their best behavior for a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a real true picture of this person, or is it just the reality they want you to see or the one they want to portray? It's challenging for sure, but my advice is to stay close and trust the Spirit. I've got another great friend that met his wife online and moved to another state. It's been a few years now, and they seem to be very happy. They met on LDS Planet. He moved from Utah to California, and they seem to be really happy.
So that's still going?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tip number 6. Don't have a texting relationship, and when you're with a date, stay off your phone. Dating in the digital age has a few challenges that you might not have encountered your first time around in the dating realm. Before I was married, texting was for teenagers. I remember being so annoyed with watching teenagers and their phones. It just seemed juvenile. Now everyone is doing it, including me. People ask each other out over text. I've actually been dumped that way.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I don't know. I mean, I've always kind of dissed that, but in a way it's like, well, it's less painful. I mean, it's annoying, but at least you don't have to, you can cry on your own and not cry over the phone.
Can't we just be adults and talk about it?
You'd think, but anyway. I admit that it's very convenient being able to send someone messages and respond on your own time as opposed to making phone calls, but the possibility and probability of misinterpretation is huge. There have been numerous instances where I texted something that I thought meant one thing and was received in a totally different way, and where I thought someone was saying something and they were saying something else. Obviously, this is not a way to build a relationship. I've also misdirected texts when I'm dating more than one guy. Oopsie daisy.
I've never done that.
So keep text limited to when you're going to call or meet or other trivial matters if you can. Get on the phone, spend some time getting to know the person. It'll be worth it in the long run as you'll get a much better idea of who they are. Meet in person as often as you can. Skype if you can't get together. Also, be patient in between texts or emails. This is me talking to me. This world we live in is both great and terrible because of technology. We used to wait for the phone to ring sometime that evening. Now we think if 5 minutes is too long to wait for a text. I think it's time we all chilled out a bit and remembered that just because we can text quickly doesn't mean we should or we will. And I'm a textbook example of that. I get frustrated because I think, well, I know he's got his phone and I know he got my... It's just stupid. It's just dumb.
Texting is a great way to communicate the how, what, why, and where. But it is a horrible, terrible way to communicate about serious discussions.
Oh, amen.
Don't ever have an argument through text. It will end horribly, guaranteed. Texts are a perfect way to misunderstand and convey a message that you probably didn't intend to. It's easy, it's convenient, I get it. If you want a great relationship with this person, pick up the phone and talk. Yes, use your voices, or better yet, ask to meet in person. You will be so much better off and happier if you'll do this one thing.
You mean you can't just send like angry face emojis to each other?
I know what everybody's talking about.
Yeah. So I think if you're at a point where you're starting to argue over text, that means that relationship's about done. Because that just means you're both trying to put an end to it. If you're not willing to like get together and talk. Juvenile. All right. When you are with each other, stay off your phones. There's nothing more annoying than looking at your date only to have them looking at their phone. When you're with him or her, be with him or her. Look each other in the eye. Give each other your full attention. I always feel like I'm not terribly important to someone when they pick up their phone while I'm talking to them.
It happens so often now that it seems like everyone should be okay with it. It's a must if you have kids to have the phone available. Okay, I get that. But I can't think of any other good reason. Girls, some guys have to save money to go on dates. They're putting out their hard-earned money because they want to get to know you a little bit more. You've caught their attention. Make the most of it. When I'm with a woman that spends most of the day on her phone because she's addicted to Facebook, I don't want to go out on another date. So now going into another topic, sexting. Is it really a thing?
Wait, back up for a second. Have you actually been on a date with someone that was on their phone the whole time?
Yeah, a few.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty bad. All right, so I get this.
Okay.
Well, everyone's waiting with bated breath to
Yeah.
hear about sexting now.
Sexting, is it really a thing? Yes, it happens. Guys, don't do it. It doesn't need to happen and doesn't impress the ladies. Girls, yes, ladies, don't do it. It's a great way to perhaps spice up a marriage, but it's not a great way to start out a relationship. And did you hear me say girls don't do that? Yes. I've had women send me pics, so it does go both ways. It was shocking and very surprising the first time it happened. I had just had a friend pass away from cancer, and the lady knew it. She wanted to make sure I had a great day by sending me a picture. Actually, it made the day much more difficult, as I was going over and over in my mind what kind of conversation I was going to have with this lady.
I know it's not funny, but it is funny.
Yeah, generally it just makes the other person uncomfortable in a dating situation. So everyone, just don't do it.
Well, you would think that would be a given within the church, wouldn't you?
You would think, but no.
Luckily, that's never happened to me, so I'm just glad. And that's what I say in the book here. I just want to go on record as saying that I have never been sexted, thank goodness. I also want to point out that nothing we do online is really 100% private, so don't do it. I have, however, been told to look a guy up on YouTube and seen a homemade pornographic video of him. So if you do a search on someone, including YouTube, is a good idea. And I have never sent a sext message as well.
So if you get sexted and you didn't want it, does that mean you're molested?
Texted? Yeah, I think you've been text-abused. Anyway, yeah, you can tell we're both a little bit goofy today. So the next chapter covers how to act on a first date. So we're going to end this episode here, and then on the next episode, we're going to go into chapter 5. So keep listening. Go to AnnetteTalks.com, make comments, subscribe so you can get the next episode automatically emailed to you. Comment, please. Tell me what you like, don't like, or what you want to hear about. I would love to have some conversation going on AnnetteTalks.com. Thank you for listening, and keep listening to the next episode.
I'm gonna bloom where I'm planted. I won't take things for granted. Come what may, bring it on. I'm gonna love it.